opening remarks and introductions, I would like to turn the conference over to Mr. Dave Scholler. Mr. Scholler, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ultimate Fighter conference call. We are very excited today to be joined by the coaches of the upcoming season, Michael Bisping and Jason Mayhem Miller. The Ultimate Fighter premieres. It's a 2-hour premiere on Wednesday, September 21st at 9 p.m. on Spike TV. It will feature all of the preliminary fights in their entirety. And also, this is the first time ever that we will showcase bantamweight and featherweight fighters on the Ultimate Fighter. Some other great news for our fans in the UK. We're very excited to confirm that FX will be airing the Ultimate Fighter 14, including the live finale featuring Michael Bisping, who's become the face of UFC in Great Britain and in the UK. It'll be the first time a UFC event has ever been live on basic cable in the UK. With that being said, let's kick it off right for questions. Yolanda, if you would, prioritize the call.
Of course. If you wish to ask a question today, please signal by pressing star then 1 on your telephone keypad. If you are using a speakerphone, please ensure that your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. Once again, that is star 1 if you do have a question at this time, and we'll pause for just a moment for our first question. And again, that is star 1 if you do have a question at this time. We'll pause for just another moment. We'll hear first from Stephen Milhausen, CKNW Radio.
Today. And thank you for letting me be on the call. The question is actually for both of the guys, actually. Michael, I know you had commented that if the season wore on, you did get tired of, the antics of Mayhem Miller. I would like to know why that is. And then Mayhem, how did you feel doing the season with Michael from the time you started till the time of the end of the season?
I'll let Jason go first.
I'll say this about Michael. He is a complex character, an individual that you could write many tomes of knowledge on. And actually, as the season wore on, yes, I hated his guts. And then I didn't mind him so much, and now I'm back to hating his guts. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I mean, if you're saying I'm a complex character, Jesus fucking Christ, I mean, you have about 15 different personalities. Jason's one of those guys, you know what I mean, you either love him or you hate him. I definitely hate him. I think most people around him find him very, very annoying. I know people on The Ultimate Fighter did, and I was no different. And at the start of the show, I hated him. During the show, I hated him. At the end of the show, I hated him. December 3rd, I'm going to kick his ass, so it's all good.
Thank you. And look forward to seeing you guys fight in December.
We'll hear next from Neil Davidson with the Canadian Press.
Yes, thank you. My question is for Michael. Michael, you've been a coach on this show before, obviously. How did you find this season compared to that one? Obviously, it was different without the nationalities involved. Can you kind of compare the two?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the format for the show hadn't changed. So, in a lot of ways, it was the same. Apart from obviously, I wasn't coaching the national team, the British team. I was more comfortable with that this time. I've said many times that I was never comfortable with UK versus USA. It kind of seemed like I was anti-USA, which was never the case. But this time, I had a great time filming the show. My team were a fantastic team. Obviously the new weight classes, the fighters themselves, they were very dedicated. They trained very, very hard. They listened to everything we had to say. They wanted to improve. They weren't there for airtime. They were all real fighters. And when you see the fighter season, you'll know what I mean. The fights are absolutely incredible. And all in all, I'm very happy with it. And I feel it was a good season. As I said, the fights were great. My team did a good job. And I feel I represented myself pretty well. So, all in all, I'm pretty happy with it.
And if I could follow up, you often provoke sort of strong opinions from people. People either love you or hate you in the States. People sometimes see you as the villain. When you went into this season, did you have any thoughts about worrying about how people might perceive you or what you were saying, or did you just say, screw it, I'm going to be me?
Yeah, well, listen, I've never put an act on ever. I'm always me, and and that's why some people care for me and some people don't. when I was going into the season, I thought I might get a little hostility from some of the guys because, as you said, there's a preconceived image of me that some people in America have, and the team, when I picked them, after a couple of days, the team gels and you start opening up to one another, and then a few of them were saying, I really expected you to be an arsehole, and they all said that what a nice guy was and how much he cared for me at the end of the season. They said they were really shocked by how much they could tell that I did really care for the team and care for their well-being and their progress on the show, as opposed to being there for myself. Because ultimately that's what the Ultimate Fighter is about. It's not about me or Jason. It's not about the coaches. It's about the contestants on the show and trying to give these guys, a break into the big time. And I felt I did my best to do that. And there was, I did have some, perhaps, what's the word I'm looking at? I was not conscious as to whether or not, some people would have a preconceived image of me, but everyone was fine.
Okay, thanks, Michael.
Thanks.
We'll hear next from John O'Regan, Fighters Only Magazine.
Hello, Mike. It's John. How you doing?
John.
How you doing?
Mate.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So your last fight was Jorge Rivera, and he wound you up quite a lot before the fight, and you were very, very annoyed going into it. You absolutely hated him.
Yep.
Would you say that has Jason Miller annoyed you to the same degree?
No, he hasn't. It all depends. You know what I mean? Miller's annoying. For a completely different reason, just because he's idiotic. You know what I mean? He just comes out with stupid shit constantly. Rivera was different because it wasn't just him, it was his entire team. They were cool, calm and collected about it. They made videos, they did all kinds of stuff, and they crossed the lines. They talked about family and stuff like that, stuff that I really don't want to go into and drag up again and even give Rivera more press. Everyone knows this type of shit he came out of last time. It takes a pretty low individual to do things like that. Jason's not like that. He's just a bit idiotic, as I said. He tried to wind me up a few times on the show, as you'll see, and they were all very, very, very feeble attempts. His mouth is definitely bigger than his brain, and he tried a few things. You'll see they were very childish and easily to overcome and get one up on him. So yeah, he didn't wind me up to that extent.
Okay, cheers, Mike. Jason, are you there? Hello, Jason?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
I was just admiring Mike's handiwork.
You heard what Max just said then. What do you think? Do you think you managed to annoy him? Did you get under his skin?
I don't know. Yeah, I definitely got under his skin. As you'll see as the season plays out, there was quite, man. I mean, apart from the unbelievable fights that happened on The Ultimate Fighter, including I got to watch the first two episodes, and the main thing I recognized was that Dana White, the man who's watched more fights than anyone I can think of, has exclusively put a stamp of these are the best fights to get into the house ever. So once he said that, I was like, well, that's my tagline right there. If he says these were the best fights to get in, then these are the best fights. But aside from the excellent fights and the very talented group of guys who came into the show, me and Mike definitely just our personality clash put a damn good show on. There's no way around it. And I think that the UFC I credit the UFC for making that decision to put us opposite of each other because we both have a strong personality and they're bound to clash.
Right.
Sounds like you're trying to sweeten me up there so I don't beat you too badly on December 3rd, Jason.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think you're way worse an idiot than I am, and I'm going to smash your face and choke you. However,
wait. Hey.
I'm just saying.
You've been warming up.
Mike.
Nice to see you've been warming up on your sister. I definitely won't be practicing guillotine escapes. Escape a guillotine from you, then. That should be good.
You make sure to practice them. I'll send you a number.
We'll take our next question from Dave Niebert, Post Media News.
Hi guys, just same question for both of you. I'm wondering if you find that coaching improves your own fighting. whether it flicks some switches in the way you look at things, and you're able to transfer that over to when you yourselves are training or preparing for a fight?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, when I coach, it does make you, it makes your technique better, because you have to explain the minutiae of the technique. The smallest attention to detail. These are the differences between making the move work and not work. So when you're teaching, it does help improve your technique and make you sharper. So I'd say the answer to your question is yes. Jason, go ahead.
Thank you, moderator Michael. I'm gonna say, yeah, I'll agree. I definitely am. For me, it kind of reinvigorated my passion. The coaching aspect really got me amped to train. Like, I was like, wow, look how much effort these guys are putting in the room, and it got me reinvigorated to go back in the room with my coaching staff and really work on some things.
Okay. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah.
We'll hear next from
Thank
Sean
you.
Morgan, MMAJunkie.com.
Yeah, thank you. If I could start with Jason, please. Jason, obviously, you've been on TV before in a show that you were really the star of. And this one, the fighters, like I said, are supposed to be the star. Sometimes the coaches are. Well, what was your attitude going in as far as what your role needed to be in making this good television?
Well, I mean, I had one priority going into the show. My first priority was to make sure that I give my full attention to coaching these guys. Like, that was my first priority. And then the secondly was to make entertaining television. So, I noticed that after the first week that it was like I was a bit bored. So I just immediately started cranking it up so that there'll be some interaction between me and Mike. And I knew that that's what the producers, at the end of the day, this is television, and we need to make something happen so that the audience is engaged. And man, many things happen.
Absolutely. Now, you guys have both been pretty open with your annoyance at each other. Can I ask you maybe what your attitude was about Mike going into the show, maybe what your thoughts were on him, and did anything change, or did everything just kind of get confirmed as to what your initial beliefs were?
Well, no, my initial beliefs on I gave Mike the benefit of the doubt, but he fully proved himself to be a prick by week 2.
Fair enough. And for Mike, for you as well, I'd like to ask you the same question. Obviously, you've expressed yourself pretty openly here, but what were your thoughts on Mayhem coming in? And again, were yours confirmed, or did anything shift at all?
No, listen, I always give people the benefit of the doubt. I've hung around Jason on a few occasions. We have some mutual friends, and we've hung out a couple of times. I thought he was an okay kind of guy. As the season started, the first couple of days before filming really starts, we're doing press things and, shooting like commercials and whatnot. And the more time I spent around him, the more he irritated me, the more he started to get under my skin. And then as the show progressed and started getting on, that's when he showed his true colours and really started to piss me off, really. And you'll see as the season progresses, he loses his cool, he loses control, and he crosses the line, and you'll see why he's not on my Christmas card list.
And finally, for you, Mike, obviously this is a historic occasion with the lighter weight fighters. I'm curious what you thought, when you first found out that you were going to be coaching these lighter weight guys. Was it, exciting for you? Was it challenging at all? Obviously, it's kind of difficult maybe for you to go with them in practice. What were the challenges or fun that you had coaching these lighter weight guys?
Yeah, well, it was kind of a double-edged sword because obviously it's bantamweights and light featherweights. They're a very, very exciting weight class. The moves that these guys can pull off, the speed that they fight, the intensity that they fight, it always makes for great fights. But the downside is that when I'm coaching, on season 9, I was on the mat every single training session, getting the sweat on, working with the guys, getting a feel for them one-on-one. Obviously, with the size difference between me and these guys, I couldn't do that. So that was a little disappointing. I was hoping to go in there and train with them and really get to grips with the situation. This time I had to be more of a coach from the sidelines, with a stopwatch in my hand and explaining, So, that was the downside.
All right, great. Thank you both, guys.
We'll go next to Boger, ESPN.
Yeah, thanks. I also wanted to follow up a little bit on having smaller fighters in there, and since Michael's talked a little bit about it now, Jason, what did you see in the smaller fighters in there, and what impressed you? Was it speed, was it technique, or was it something else?
Well, I mean, if you remember, like, the UFC hasn't picked up these weight classes until, this year. So what was crazy about it was that these fighters, it wasn't the normal crop of the TUF crowd where it was some guys, who kind of, they're like 2-0, coming into the Ultimate Fighter. Some of these guys had 30 fights. These were developed, excellent athletes, great fighters already that me and Mike had the pleasure of just, kind of game planning with and kind of giving our view on how they should fight. So, that really made this season of the Ultimate Fighter complete because these guys already were great fighters, and now, it was all about the competition. So we didn't have one lackluster fight on the entire season, and that's including all the fights to get into the house. Those alone, we should have. They were worth the damn price of a DVD box set.
Yeah. I'd just like to add to that. Jason's completely right in what he says. On my team, I didn't really, you didn't have to show them and teach them too many things. You just had to nurture them and structure the training and keep an eye on them, really. These weren't guys that came in and, didn't know how to do an armbar, didn't know any takedown defense. These were complete fighters. They just needed guidance, structure, and, advice from more experienced guys.
Well,
for both of you,
with me, Mike.
I am with you.
And for both of you, and Warner, you might agree again. You mentioned the fights to get into the house, and how competitive they were. Were there any guys that lost their fights to get to the house where you thought, "Oh man, I wish that guy had made it onto the show"?
Nah, I don't like to look back into the past, but I'll say this, there were some upsets. Like, there were some guys that I'm sure the media has heard of and covered their fights before because you guys in the media pay close attention to all the fights, and you know who they are, but guess what? They're not coming in the house.
Yeah, the thing is, it always goes down to the luck of the draw. There were some of the guys, obviously I'm not going to unveil any names, but some of the guys that have made it to the final, the guys that fought them, they were awesome fighters, but they fought the toughest guys on the show, so they never made it on. There was a couple of guys that when I saw their names and saw the faces at the preliminary matchups, I thought, oh, this guy's in for sure, but they didn't win the fight, so... they lost on that day, so they didn't earn the right to get into the house, but it would have been nice to have them there.
All right, guys, thanks very much.
As a reminder, that is *1 if you do have a question at this time. We'll hear next from Damon Martin, MMAweekly.com.
Hey guys, first question is for Michael Bisping. Michael, at the end of the day, your goal is to get a middleweight title shot. So when we got presented this fight and this offer to go on the Ultimate Fighter, was there any hesitation just because of the delay in your career, or do you feel like this is a fight that's going to get you closer to that belt?
Well, there was never any hesitation in accepting the role of coach. To be offered, in my opinion, to be offered the role of coach in the Ultimate Fighter is very prestigious, and and I thank the UFC for that opportunity. So I never pondered whether or not I should take it. The reality is that there is a downside. The downside is that it means, almost 10 months out of the game, which I like to stay active. It means taking a fight against Jason Miller, which, with respect, that probably doesn't get me a title shot by beating him. So those are the downsides. But obviously, it's a great opportunity. And as I said, it shows the UFC hold you in high regards to be offered something like that. So I never wondered for a second whether or not I'd take the job.
Where do you feel like a win? You mentioned you don't feel like beating Mayhem gets you a title shot. Where do you feel like a win puts him, or do you feel like you should be, even if if you don't consider him the guy? What do you feel like you have to do to get there?
Yeah, well, maybe beating Miller. He's the guy, because I've got a decent streak. I've only been beaten once at middleweight. I've been around the UFC for a long time. I've been beating, top guys consistently for a long time now. I feel I'm going to get a title shot real soon. I'm still improving all the time. I'm dedicated. I work hard, and I feel that my time is now. You know, I mean, I do get frustrated when I hear people say that Anderson Silva's wiped out the middleweight division. He hasn't wiped out the middleweight division. He's got to fight me, yeah, and I feel that I match up very well with him. Not, you know, I'm not disrespecting Anderson. I think Anderson, rightly so, is regarded as the pound-for-pound best in the world, and I'm a big fan of him. But I feel I'll give him a good fight, and I feel I match up a lot better with him than some of the other fighters he's faced have. So yeah, you know, hopefully I beat Miller and I do a good job. I do it in style. You know, who knows? Maybe that will get me the title shot. If not, I think definitely one more fight, and I should get that shot pretty soon.
And of course, you know, you coaching on the show before, people saw the interaction you had with some of the guys on the other team, you know, DeMarcus Johnson, some of the things. I mean, what did you learn from that? And do you feel like we're going to see a different Michael Bisping as a coach this time? Or did you did you learn from that and say, hey, I could do the exact same things?
Well, I mean, the thing is this, you know, I mean, as I said earlier, I'm always myself. I never change, you know, and I always speak my mind. And sometimes that does me good, and sometimes it does me harm, you know. As you mentioned, the thing with DeMarcus Johnson now from season 9. DeMarcus was a character that was, you know, he was out to get me and out to wind me up right from the start, and he was always trying to get airtime, and he was talking shit about me and things like that. So that was always going to get a reaction from me. Obviously, I can't talk about what happened this season. You know, you have to wait and watch it. You know, but you know, it will all depend if there's guys like DeMarcus on the show. But this season, I went out there. I was myself. I didn't pull punches. You know, I wasn't going on a PR campaign to gain more fans. I was just myself. You know, so you know, we'll see. I definitely got the respect from my team. Hopefully, I get the respect from the viewers.
Excellent. And a question for Mayhem, kind of the same question I had first for Mike is, you know, you had so much time off between your last fight in Japan, and then you were going to fight back in July, and then this offer came along. I mean, was the offer just, you know, the chance to be on The Ultimate Fighter, was that bigger than, you know, getting a chance to stay active and fight? Because I know you've always been an active guy, but I'm sure, you know, your ultimate goal wouldn't be to sit out for over a year.
Well, you know, I mean, really, at the end of the day, it comes down to what's best for my career, and actually what's best for UFC's bottom line. To put two exciting dudes who are going to talk crazy at each other and maybe get in a brawl on television in the same room together is going to be way better for the UFC than me, you know, fighting in Vegas, you know, with no hype around it. You know, I think that this is going to be huge for the Ultimate Fighter franchise. This is the best season that they've ever done. So you know, and I've only watched 2 episodes, and even though, I mean, I know I'm on the show, but just looking as a television viewer, I'm totally enthralled with it. Like, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see the next episode. So if anyone from Spike is listening, will you please send me the next episode?
Yeah, listen, you know, just quickly, I'd like to add on that. This was always a big opportunity for Jason, you know. He went from fighting on the undercard, you know, to fighting main event against me, you know. So it was a big for him, you know.
And I gotta say, Mike, I know we hate each other and everything. I know we hate each other
in the UFC,
but I gotta say, thank you very much. Oh, shit! I don't know who's talking. What the hell? I know. Hey, at the end of the day, you know what? Michael Bisping had to sign off on this and say, yeah, okay, let's do it. So I have to take my hats off to him. That being said, I cannot do anything other than beat you up, Mike, so I apologize.
Well, you can't do that. What else can you do?
But hey, thanks for the opportunity, I'll say that.
It's quite alright. Okay, I'll be sending you on your way back to the undercard real soon.
Good luck with that.
Enjoy those quiet little crowds.
Man, Mike, you just get me fueled up right now. I'm shadowboxing in my hotel room.
Okay.
And again, that is *1 if you do have a question at this time. We'll go next to Fight with Heavy.com.
This is a question for both guys. Coming off of last season, which was a down season in terms of ratings and sort of the impact it had and the reactions people had to it, and the last few seasons have sort of been trending that way. Did either of you feel a pressure to sort of rejuvenate things this time around and make it a season that, as Jason has said throughout so far, is a season that even he's dying to continue seeing and that fans are going to be eagerly tuning in for?
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, not specifically for the reasons that last season was lackluster, but more because anything I do, I want to put my heart and soul into it and be successful. It's going to involve me spending a lot of time away from my family in Las Vegas, away from my training. So if I'm going to do this, I've got to do it right. And I want it to be successful. I want it to be a good season. I want it to be good fights. I want it to be good interaction between the coaches. There was nothing staged. There was nothing put on for those reasons. But of course, me and Jason, both put, a lot of effort into making it A, a good fight, B, good TV. But there was nothing staged or purposeful arguments for those reasons.
Yeah, you know what? They just stuck the camera on us, and we made good TV. I didn't feel any pressure. Honestly, I didn't watch Lesnar. I contributed to them not having any ratings. I didn't watch it. So, there was no pressure at all in that respect. It just, I think that they did a better job of casting this season. You know what I mean? As far as the coaches go, that there's more. I can't imagine that the conference call for Lesnar and Dos Santos to go one quarter as good as this one. I mean, what the hell? You guys are entertained, right? There's a lot of people pressing star one, so whatever.
All right, thanks, guys.
We'll hear next from Elliot Olshansky with theultimatefighter.com.
Good afternoon, everyone. First question for Michael. I know you said you always want to be yourself, but when you looked back at your experience on the 9th season of the show, was there anything you looked back at and said, well, I'm definitely not going to do that again?
Well, listen, there was a lot of backlash over season 9, and if I'm honest, I can't see what the big deal was. I didn't do anything wrong. All I wanted to do was have my team win. It just so happened that team was from the UK, so I think a lot of people in America took offence at that. The only thing that I shouldn't have done on season 9 was squirt water in DeMarcus Johnson's face. That said, he was going on, I could have punched him, but I didn't. I squirted water in his face. Other than that, I can't see anything really that I did wrong, I just tried to make it entertaining, and I was, against Dan Henderson, who isn't the most, outspoken of guys, so maybe, I looked a little loudmouthed at times. Going into this season, I've done the exact same thing, just tried to be my entertaining self.
And you did change up, it looks like, your coaching staff from the last time. Is there any particular reason behind those changes? Just guys who were there last time weren't available, or did you want to do something different because you had a different group of fighters?
No, it was more to do with, as you said, the other guys weren't available. Last time I used Mario Sucata, who's the head coach at the Wolfslar, and he was in Brazil with his family at the time and wasn't available. So a couple of guys that I'm friends with in America.
And then for Jason, obviously you spend on Bully Beatdown. You spend a lot of time laughing at the bullies when they're getting beaten up. Do you change your approach at all? Like when a fighter from your team is winning, did you look at the fighter from Michael's team differently and just differently?
Are you asking me? Wait, are you asking me if I thought that the fighters from his team were bullies? And man, come on, man.
No, I'm asking you if you mock them the same way you mock the bullies on Bully Beatdown.
Oh, absolutely not, man. Bully Beatdown is a show in which we're showing a regular guy who's got a stick up his ass get beat up because he thinks he's tough, and it's a completely different show. Every fighter on Bisping's team, I had a mutual respect. I have a mutual respect for both men getting in the cage. I feel like, I guess that's a fair question. It would be entertaining to see me make fun of the guy every time he gets an armbar, but that's ridiculous. That would be disrespectful to the fighters who are working so hard to try to make their career, and for me to, I won't say I didn't make some entertaining comments during some of the fights, but it's a completely different thing. Yeah, I did not jump over the side of the cage and make fun of them between rounds.
And obviously yours is a name that's been probably as well known as anybody who had been outside the UFC until
Wait a minute.
this point.
Maybe, but I think I'm the most well-known guy who's been outside the UFC.
But for people who, but when you're you're introducing yourself to a lot of people who only watch the UFC and the Ultimate Fighter, was there any thought that you put into introducing yourself to them and like how you want to present yourself that for people who maybe only knew about the Strikeforce Brawl or Bully Beatdown or whatever else?
Well, yeah, I mean, the similarity between me and Mike is that, I just try to be myself no matter what. And if you don't like it, that's fine. I don't care. So, to me, it didn't matter. And I just went in there, and my job was to coach some featherweights and bantamweights, and that's what I did. That's what I put for that 6 weeks of filming. I put 100% of my effort into that job.
All right, those are my questions. Thanks a lot.
We'll hear next from Neil Davidson, the Canadian Press.
Yes, thank you. My question is for Jason. Jason, you're obviously familiar with television and you were familiar with The Ultimate Fighter, but once you're in the middle of the show and coaching, was there anything different or surprised you once you found yourself in it rather than watching it?
Yeah, the amount of time you spend with a camera stuck right in your face and a microphone up your ass. It was like constant, you never got to get away. The minute that you walked towards that gym, they had a camera stuck on you. I was used to television being more a controlled thing. Okay, Mayhem, stand here, and you're going to say this, and we're going to do this. But it was a real free-flowing thing. It was more of a documentary, where there was the cameraman stayed out of your business, and producers just. They were. You never saw them. They were invisible most of the time. They were hiding in a back room. You never saw them, so you didn't know. You didn't know when you were being watched. But the answer was all the time.
And did you enjoy it? And by the end of it, did that just become natural to you? You forgot about the cameras?
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed the experience. I won't say that. I couldn't imagine living in that house because at least I got to go home at night and be away from the cameras. If I lived in that house, it'd be crazy. The guy using the camera even when you're sleeping. So I definitely got accustomed to it. But at the same time, it was fairly stressful.
And just finally, you guys have been sort of sniping each other and then kind of being nice to each other. Do you kind of feel like there's a bit of brotherly stuff going on here? It seems more like brothers than fraternal rivalry than enmity. Or am I being too kind to you?
Well, you're being too kind. We hate each other's guts. No, but at the same time, I don't know. I can't speak for Mike because I can't talk with that stupid accent. But I'll say this, that there has to be a mutual respect at some level because on December 3rd we're going to get in the cage across from each other. And I know that he puts in work. I know that he trains hard, and I respect that. As a person, yeah, I'm gonna tell him I hate him, but at the end of the day, we're all fighters, and there is a brotherhood amongst fighters, all of us.
And Michael, would you care to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, hate's a very strong word. I wouldn't say I hate him. Do I find him irritating? Do I find him annoying? Yes, I do. Do I want to fight him on December 3rd and kick his ass and shut his big fat mouth? Yes, I do. Do I wish him any real harm to him or his family or anything like that? No, I don't. Not at all. That said, it's going to be very satisfying to wipe the floor with him and make a fool out of him. I mean, between you and me and everyone else on the line, Jason's already admitted that I'm pretty much going to beat him. He said I have better stand-up. He says I'm better cardio. He knows I'm bigger and stronger. These are things that he admitted to me. So he's already beaten mentally. December 3rd is just a formality of showing up and that's collecting my paycheck. And I can't wait for next week for the Ultimate Fighter to start and people to watch this season because then when people say to me, hey, Bisping, when are you fighting again? And I say December 3rd, and they say against who? And I say Jason Miller. And again, they ask, who? Who's that? I won't have to answer those questions anymore. Everyone will know who he is then because, he'll have a presence in the UFC, which is something that he's never had before. So, does that answer your question?
It does. We look forward to seeing both of you on the show. Thank you.
off on a tangent there.
And as a final reminder, that's *1 for questions. We'll go next to Joshua Carey with BleacherReport.com.
Yes, a question for Mike, please. It was kind of touched on a little bit there a moment ago about you not bringing in the coaches that you had from the first season, and then you elaborated on that, saying that you brought in some of your friends from in the States, from California, to help coach. Will you be spending the camp and the lead up for Mayhem and the fight in California, or will you go back to England?
Yeah, well, as of right now, I'm living in California, so I think the plan is we're going to do a month in California and a month somewhere else, a destination yet to be confirmed. But I'll be taking the fight very seriously. I'll be running a very good fight camp. I'm going to be bringing in some very good guys to help me prepare. The reality is Jason is a tough fighter, and I never ever underestimate anybody, and I'll be training accordingly. And the final pieces of the puzzle are just about getting put into place right now. I've been training out in California at the moment, but I'm still very, very much part of the Wolf Slayer. The Wolf Slayer is kind of an international fight gym now. Obviously, Rampage is out in the States, Czech Congo's in the States. We're signing other guys that are from the States. And, I'm based in California, but who knows where the camp's going to be right now.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll take our final question today from John O'Regan, Fighters Only Magazine.
Hello. This question is for Jason. Before you went into the house, I don't have the list of names in front of me, but the coaches that Mike Bisping used to form his team, you said, I've trained with all those guys previous and I've moved on. You had something to say about them. I can't remember what it was. Can you just tell us a little bit about that, what it was about?
He said up drinking buddies. Yeah, but these guys kick his ass, from what I hear.
Who did? What do we? I feel like I'm on CNN right now, and then there's a tape delay. All of a sudden, I have to stand back, and I can't hear what the hell you guys are saying. But,
hey, John.
I mean, right?
Go ahead, Jason. Answer that question.
His coaching staff. A lot of guys that I trained with back in the day and moved on because they weren't up to par for what I needed. So that just goes to show you Mike's level of coaching staff.
Mike?
Yeah. I just like to elaborate that Jason brought a chiropractor as one of his staff. He refers to himself as a doctor, but we all know a chiropractor isn't a doctor, and certainly isn't an MMA coach. But good for cracking your back.
That chiropractor actually helped train a few world champions. Maybe you've heard of them. Randy Couture and this guy Dan Henderson. So I don't know. He's not just a chiropractor. We're talking about Ryan Parsons, of course.
He's a chiropractor. He's a gay chiropractor. Well, he definitely was. He was like he's just taking it up.
He's gay, Mike. I don't think he's gay, Mike. I mean, he at least is bi because he has 2 kids.
I know. Oh, you two that night.
All right, guys. With that, I'm going to jump in here and wrap up the call. It was certainly an entertaining one. I want to thank Jason Mayhem Miller and Michael the Count Bisping. Once again, The Ultimate Fighter debuts on Wednesday, September 21st, 9 p.m. on Spike, and it'll also be on FX in the UK. I don't know if we can top this call, but I can tell you we're going to certainly try on Monday when we have Jones and Rampage in advance of UFC 135. That conference call will be Monday at 11 a.m. Once again, thanks to all the media for joining today, and a special thanks to Mayhem and Bisping. We'll see you guys on The Ultimate Fighter. Thanks, everybody.